Peter Coyote is an American actor, author, director, screenwriter and narrator of films, theater, television and audiobooks. His voice work includes narrating the opening ceremony of the 2002 Winter Olympics and Apple's iPad Retinal Display campaign. He has also served as on-camera co-host of the 2000 Oscar telecasts. His speaking voice helped him win an Emmy Award in 1992 for narration of the Meiji Revolution episode of the PBS series The Pacific Century. He has often been compared with actor Henry Fonda. Coyote was one of the founders of the Diggers, an anarchist improv group active in Haight-Ashbury during the mid-1960s. Coyote was also an actor, writer and director with the San Francisco Mime Troupe. His prominence in the San Francisco counterculture scene led to his being interviewed for the noted book, Voices from the Love Generation. He acted in and directed the first cross-country tour of the Minstrel Show, and his play Olive Pits, co-authored with Mime Troupe member Peter Berg, won the troupe an Obie Award from the Village Voice. Coyote became a member, and later chairman, of the California Arts Council from 1975 to 1983. In the late 1970s, he shifted from acting on stage to acting in films. In the 1990s and 2000s, he acted in several television shows. He speaks fluent Spanish and French. Early life: Coyote was born in New York City, the son of Ruth and Morris Cohon, an investment banker. His father was of Sephardic Jewish descent and his mother came from a working-class Ashkenazi Jewish family. Her father, trained as a rabbi in Russia, escaped being drafted into the Imperial Russian Army, and eventually ran a small candy store in the Bronx. Coyote was raised in a highly intellectual, cultural but unreligious family, involved in left-wing politics. He grew up in Englewood, New Jersey and graduated from the Dwight Morrow High School there in 1960. Coyote later said that he was half black and half white inside due to the strong influence of Susie Nelson, his family's African-American housekeeper. While a student at Grinnell College, Iowa in 1961, Coyote was one of the organizers of a group of 12 students who traveled to Washington, D.C. during the Cuban Missile Crisis supporting U.S. President John F. Kennedy's peace race. Kennedy invited the group into the White House, the first time protesters had ever been so recognized, and they met for several hours with McGeorge Bundy. The group received wide press coverage. They mimeographed the resulting headlines and sent them to every college in the United States. Once he graduated from Grinnell College with a BA in English Literature in 1964, Coyote moved to the West Coast, despite having been accepted at the Iowa Writers' Workshop, and commenced working towards a master's degree in creative writing at San Francisco State University. Name change: while still at Grinnell College, Peter ingested peyote and had an hallucination in which he saw his footprints as coyote paw prints. A few years later, he came across Coyote's Journal, a poetry magazine, and recognized its logo as the same paw prints he has seen during his drug-induced experience. It was this that caused him to change his name to Coyote, after meeting Rolling Thunder, a self-styled shaman, who felt that the experience was spiritually significant. Countercultural activities: after a short apprenticeship at the San Francisco Actors Workshop, he joined the San Francisco Mime Troupe, a radical political street theater whose members were arrested for performing in parks without permits. Coyote acted, wrote scripts, and directed in the Mime Troupe. Coyote directed the first cross-country tour of the Minstrel Show, Civil Rights in a Cracker Barrel, a controversial play closed by authorities in several cities. From 1967 to 1975, Coyote became a prominent member of the San Francisco counterculture community and a founding member, along with Emmett Grogan, Peter Berg, Judy Goldaft, Kent Manault, Nina Blasenheim, David Simpson, Jane Lapina, and Billy Murcott, of the Diggers, an anarchist group known for operating anonymously and without money. They created provocative theater events designed to heighten awareness around issues of private property, consumerism, and identification with one's work. They fed nearly 600 people a day for free, asking only that people pass through a 6-foot by 6-foot square known as the free frame of reference. They ran a free store, a free medical clinic, and even a short-lived free bank. the Diggers evolved into a group known as the Free Family, which established chains of communes around the Pacific Northwest and Southwest. Coyote was the best-known resident of the Black Bear Ranch commune in Siskiyou County, California. He was a friend of Rolling Thunder, a Shoshone medicine man who cured him of hepatitis A, using traditional medicine. He has also been a friend of Leonard Peltier, a Native American activist and member of the American Indian Movement. Since the 1960s and along with author Peter Matheson, is one of Peltier's non-native advisors. Of this period of his life, Coyote wrote in Sleeping Where I Fall. The failure to curb personal indulgence was a major collective error. Our journeys down the path along with Verlaine and Rimbaud, disordered our senses, senselessly wasted young lives, and often sabotaged what we labored so diligently to construct. It is the artist's responsibility to manifest sanity and health for something we did not fully understand. Discovering Zen, Coyote had first discovered Zen in his teens via the works of Jack Kerouac, Gary Snyder, and other beats. Coyote met Snyder with the Diggers and was impressed with Snyder's gravitas and elegance, his care and deliberation. Beginning in 1975, Coyote undertook meditation practice and eventually became a dedicated practitioner of American Zen Buddhism, moving into the San Francisco Zen Center. He was later ordained a lay priest in the Zātar tradition. Coyote performed audiobook recordings of Shunryu Suzuki's Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, Paul Reps's Zen Flesh, Zen Bones, as well as narrated the documentary Inquiry into the Great Matter, A History of Zen Buddhism. San Francisco Arts Commission and the California Arts Council. In keeping with his dedication to community-based art, Peter Coyote was employed in the early 1970s by the San Francisco Arts Commission in the Historical Neighborhood Arts Program, with funding from the Comprehensive Employment and Training Act, a United States federal law enacted by Congress, signed into law by President Richard Nixon, 1973 to train workers and provide them with jobs in the public service. The San Francisco Arts Commission's Neighborhood Arts CETA program was the first in the country to use CETA funds to hire artists to work in service to a city. From this position, Coyote was appointed by Governor Jerry Brown to be a member of the California Arts Council, the state agency which determines art policy for the state. He served on the CAC from 1975 to 1983. After his first year, Coyote was elected chairman by his peers 3 years in a row, and during his tenure as chairman, the council's overhead expenses dropped from 50% to 15%, the lowest in the state, and the Arts Council budget rose from $1 million to $16 million. More importantly, his council introduced the idea of artists as creative problem solvers, and by paying artists to solve problems for the state rather than make art, they bypassed the objections of many conservative lawmakers. Coyote engineered relationships with 14 departments of state which began to use artists in a variety of capacities, paying 50 cents on the dollar for it. It was an immense success and gave him the confidence to try his hand at film acting. Film and television acting. In 1978, Coyote began acting again, appearing in plays at San Francisco's award-winning Magic Theater. While playing the lead in the world premiere of Sam Shepard's True West, a Hollywood agent approached him, and his film career began in 1980 with Die Laughing. Coyote chose his stage name after a spiritual encounter with a coyote. After telling the story to Rolling Thunder, who challenged him not to dismiss it as a hallucination, he took the name as a way of honoring the encounter. He did supporting roles in Tell Me a Riddle, 1981 Southern Comfort, and as the mysterious scientist Keys in E.T. The Extraterrestrial. In 1980 he was seriously considered for the role of Indiana Jones in Raiders of the Lost Ark, and auditioned for the part. Coyote's first starring role was in the 1982 science fiction adventure Time Rider, The Adventure of Lal Swan. He also starred in Outrageous Fortune and Jagged Edge. Since then, he has made more than 120 films for theaters and television and has played starring roles for many directors, including Roman Polanski, Pedro Almodovar, Martin Ritt, John Paul Rapneau, Diane Kouros and Walter Salles. Leonard Maltin once wrote, "Coyote's no rubber stamp leading man, but he seems comfortable with that." "I'm a Zen Buddhist student first, actor second," Coyote has said. "If I can't reconcile the two lives, I'll stop acting. I spend more time off-screen than on." In addition to his movie work in more recent films such as Sphere, A Walk to Remember, and Erin Brockovich, Coyote has also appeared in many made-for-TV movies and miniseries, and he does commercial voiceovers. Coyote was cast in lead roles on several television series, The 4400 in 2004 and The Inside in 2005. After The Inside was cancelled, Coyote returned to The 4400 as a special guest star for their two-part season finale, then joined the cast of ABC's series Commander-in-Chief as the Vice President of the United States, and the next year did a 4-episode turn as Sally Field's disreputable boyfriend in Brothers and Sisters. Also in 2005, Coyote served as the narrator for several prominent projects including the documentary film Enron, The Smartest Guys in the Room, and the National Geographic-produced PBS documentary based on Jared Diamond's Guns, Germs, and Steel. He also narrated an episode of the series Lost in April 2006. In 2008, he narrated Torturing Democracy, a documentary produced by PBS which details the Bush administration's use of enhanced interrogation techniques in the War on Terror. He also narrated the 12-hour Ken Burns series on the national parks, and 15 episodes for the National Geographic Explorer series. In 2010 he narrated the documentary Solitary Confinement on the effect of long-term isolation, with footage taken from Colorado State Penitentiary where all prisoners are held this way. In 2014, he appeared in the TNT television series Perception, as the father of the main character, Dr. Daniel Pierce, and narrated Burns' The Roosevelts, An Intimate History. Writing, Coyote's left-wing politics are evident in his articles for Mother Jones magazine, some of which he wrote as a delegate to the 1996 Democratic National Convention. In his disagreements with David Horowitz. And in his autobiography Sleeping Where I Fall. In 2006, he developed a political television show for Link TV called The Active Opposition, and in 2007 created Outside the Box with Peter Coyote starting on Link TV's Special, The End of Oil Part 2. Many of Coyote's stories from the 1967 to 1975 counterculture period are included in his memoir, Sleeping Where I Fall, published by Counterpoint Press in April 1998. One of the stories incorporated into his book is Carla's story, about a 16-year-old mother who lived communally with Coyote, and who, after learning of her husband's murder, became a drug addict, then a prostitute, had her children stolen, and continued to spiral downhill until she turned her life around. This story was published in Zizivor, and awarded the 1993 1994 Pushcart Prize. He also states he was a close friend of singer Janis Joplin. Coyote has a website, which features the titles of all his movies and extended samples of much of his writing. He is a member at redroom.com, a website for authors. Credits: television and film actor, selected roles, Alcatraz, The Whole Shocking Story, Courtney Taylor, Die Laughing, Davis, Time a Rider, The Adventure of Lal Swan, Porter Reese, E.T. The Extraterrestrial, Keys, Cross Creek, Norton Baskin, Slayground, Stone, Heartbreakers, Blue, The Legend of Billie Jean, Detective Ringwald, Jagged Edge, Thomas Cassany, The Blue Yonder, Max Knickerbocker, Outrageous Fortune, Michael Sanders Union Huma Murray, Steve Elliott, Stacking, Photographer, Heart of Midnight, Sharp Larry, The Man Inside. Henry Tobel A Grand Art, Peter Mandrake, Keeper of the City, Frank Nordhall, Road to Avonlea, Romney Penhallow, Bitter Moon, Oscar, Kaika, Nicholas, That Eye, The Sky, Henry Warburton, Breach of Conduct, Colonel Andrew Case Moonlight and Valentino, Poor, Buffalo Girls, Buffalo Bill Cody, Unforgettable, Don Brisler, Murder in My Mind, Arthur Court, Sphere, Captain Harold C. Barnes, Patch Adams, Bill Davis, The Basket, Martin Conan, Execution of Justice, Harvey Milk, Erin Brockovich, Kurt Potter, Jack the Dog, Alfred Stieglitz, Femme Fatale, Watts, A Walk to Remember. Reverend Sullivan, Bon Voyage, Alex Winkler, Grand Roller, La, Rudolph Gritchenberg, Deadwood, General Crook, Law and Order, Trial by Jury, Defense Attorney Mike LaSalle, Independent Lens, Narrator, The Inside, Special Agent Virgil /Web/Webster, Deepwater, Herman Finch, A Little Trip to Heaven, Frank, Return of the Living Dead 4, Necropolis, Uncle Charles, Return of the Living Dead 5, Brave to the Grave, Uncle Charles, Commander-in-Chief, Warren Keaton, The 4400, Dennis Roland, Behind Enemy Lines 2, President Adair T. Manning, Brothers and Sisters, Mark August, Brain Fitness, Peak Performance, Host, $5 a day, Bert Kruger Drive Dolittle, Tale to the Chief, U.S. President Sterling, All Roads Lead Home, Hawk, NCIS, Ned Quinn, The Lena Baker Story, Elliot Arthur, Adopt a Sailor, Charles Everett, Flash Ford, President Dave Segovia, The Story of Bonnie and Clyde, Smoot Schmidt, Stage Left, A Story of Theater in the Bay Area. Himself, Law and Order, L.A., District Attorney Jerry Hardin, Random Hearts, La Rana Section on De Lugla, Narrator, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, Hatchet by Gary Paulson, The Education of Little Tree by Forrest Carter, Contrary Warriors, The Breathtaker by Alice Blanchard, The Teachings of Don Juan, A Yaqui Way of Knowledge by Carlos Castaneda, National Geographic, Cyclone. The West Executive produced by Ken Burns, 21st Century Jet, The Building off the 777, Survivors of the Skeleton Coast, The History of Sex, Rome, Power and Glory, National Geographic, The Battle for Midway produced by Michael Rosenfeld, In the Light of Reverence, Color of War, Out of the Blue, The Shapes of Life, Origins, The Four Agreements, A Practical Guide to Personal Freedom by Don Miguel Ruiz, The Fifth Agreement, A Practical Guide to Self-Mastery by Don Miguel Ruiz, The Voice of Knowledge, A Practical Guide to Inner Peace by Don Miguel Ruiz, National Geographic. Guns, Germs, and Steel, Enron, The Smartest Guys in the Room, Understanding, Extraterrestrials, The Tribe, National Geographic Explorer, A Euro Journey to an Alien Moon produced by Mark Manuxi, National Geographic, Lost Treasures of Afghanistan produced by James Barrett, National Geographic, The Gospel of Judas produced by James Barrett, The War Prayer, Fog City Mavericks, Hippies, Stealing America, Vote by Vote, Torturing Democracy, What If Cannabis Cured Cancer, Illicit, The Dark Trade, Wings of Thunder, National Geographic Explorer Era, The Virus Hunter, National Geographic Explorer Era, Inside Guantanamo Bay, The National Parks, America's Best Idea directed by Ken Burns, Full Color Football. The History of the American Football League, Reclaiming Their Voice, The Native American Vote in New Mexico and Beyond, For the Rights of All, Ending Jim Crow in Alaska, The Top 100, NFL's Greatest Players, Connected, An Autobiography about Love, Death, and Technology, I Am Fizzhead, Are Corporate Leaders Psychopaths? NHL 36, Patrick Kane, NHL 36, Patrice Bergeron, Prohibition by Ken Burns, NHL 36, Niklas Lidstrom, NHL 36, Mike Richards, NHL 36, James Neal, the Dust Bowl host and narrator of PBS miniseries directed by Ken Burns, PBS, The Ghost Army, PBS, The Roosevelts, An Intimate History by Ken Burns, writer, Peter Coyote, Sleeping Where I Fall, A Chronicle, Autobiography, ISBN 1-58243-011-X, Michael Corrigan, A Year and a Day, A Grief Journal, Idaho State University, ISBN 978-0937834763. Includes Peter Coyote's emails to Michael Corrigan after Corrigan lost his wife. Illustrator, Ringolivio, A Life Played for Keeps by Emmett Grogan. 1990, references. External links, official website, Peter Coyote at the Internet Movie Database, The Diggers Archives, The Free Fall Chronicles, excerpts from Sleeping Where I Fall, Hoka Magazine interview with John Le Kay, Peter Coyote papers at Special Collections Department, University Library, University of California, Davis.